Good morning. Many face. All right. Kids are gone. 1 second. Wife is gone. Delete this. All right. So, man. Yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple of days ago, they were talking about Jokic. I believe he has 60 with a triple-double. And, some people, I forgot who said it. Somebody mentioned, oh yeah, they were talking about it on First Take and, ESPN. I forgot who said what, but, there was some comparisons, like he's a top 5 all-time center. Jokic now, And I think I went on X, and while I was on X, I was, I think it came up on there too. And my thing is, all right, Jokic is a great player. And he reminds me of a Greg Ostertag that could really ball though. Like triple better than Greg Ostertag was. No disrespect to Ostertag, he's an NBA player. All NBA players to me are great players. Greg, Ostertag, he played in a rougher era. But Jokic, I'm not comparing him. I'm just saying just the look. I'm not comparing their games. Jokic is way better, way more skilled. Offensively, gifted and stuff like that. So, Jokic is clearly way better. I'm not even comparing that. Don't get it wrong. I'm just saying the way they look, it makes you think of Greg Ostertag. But when you look at the NBA constructed today, right? He's doing what he's supposed to do, dominate the game. There's no real, because remember, the game at one point, a few years ago, the big man was kind of almost eliminated, especially during the Golden State era, where they, in the 2016s, 15, all the way up until, I would say about 4 years ago, the big man was completely out the game. Everybody was like a stretch, a 5, you go back and think about who was the dominant big man. Mainly, you had DeMarcus Cousins at one point, but he was more of a stretch 5. AD, who really don't like to play the center. He likes to power forward, although he's 6'11". He's really the size of a center, but he plays. He doesn't play in the post. He does, you know what I mean? And so they were really like, and you start looking at the big men in at that time, and there wasn't no real dominant big man like that. Dwight Howard, was already on pretty much on his downside. He was, pretty much a role player. Like, I'm trying to think of who was the big. There wasn't no real big man like that. Joel Embiid was going through the process. He was just getting drafted in the league, about to go through the process. And even to this day, it's only like maybe a handful of big men, that actually play like a big man. And even them, they're stretch 5 players, taking the ball off the dribble, taking you off the dribble, shooting, threes, barely, they're going to post, but, it's not as frequent as back in the days. Now, with that being said, when I look at Jokic, right, so he's in an era where he's not really going against nobody that's going to challenge him in that position. You know, the one time I did see him have a hard time was with the Lakers in that bubble series, and they had JaVale McGee, they had Dwight Howard, and AD. So you're getting these guys thrown at you, and then usually you had two of them in the game. So it was very hard for him to dominate the game against the Lakers because you're going up against two big men out there. You know, so they kind of like not shut him down, but you know, it made it very difficult for him to you know, just get off, right? And the only one that was really going to challenge him offensively was AD. And you know, we already know Jokic is not really a good defender. He's slow feet. You know, he's a big body. You know, like I said, I'm not knocking his game. Jokic is a great player, right? He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do right now. To me, he's the best player in the league. He's going to give you. He's going to score. He's going to give you the rebounds. He's like a bigger version, an advanced version of Kevin Love that can pass. Remember, Love was giving you numbers, but Love wasn't getting the wins, and Love wasn't you know, he wasn't the big. You know, I didn't realize how small Kevin Love was. Even though he looks like a big dude, he's a big dude, obviously, but he's not as big as Jokic. Nowhere near as big as Jokic. But Kevin Love was balling at one time until he got to Cleveland. So, you know, he was putting up some numbers, man, but they weren't results in wins. Like Jokic just got a championship, and I think that championship is what's propelling everybody to say, well, and then he's been consistently great over the last 4 or 5 years. So it's like he's you know, getting these high accolades, you know, and he's well deserved. But when you think about greatness, right, and this is the thing when we talk about these GOAT conversations and ranking these guys and all-time great players, like, can I plug and play you in any era? Right? This is where you start, like, you can say some people are great for their generation, right? And they're great players. Like right now I'm looking at a Luka. How effective would Luka be in the 90s, in the 80s, you know, in the 70s, you know, where the game was played differently? And how effective would those players be in today's game? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I look at like, a little tired, man. When I look at the greatness of players, right, and I'm looking at, all right, can I plug and play you in any era? Are you still going to be able to do what you're doing right now at your peak in any era? Would you be better than if you put Jokic in the 90s, right? Because people, and this is another thing people forget, right? You look at these centers. See, this is the shit that I hate about being prisoners of the moment and this new age where it's like they don't want to they think that us older brothers are just haters, right? But they're not understanding the fan. We watched basketball, right? Or played basketball. Me, I'm 48. So I've been watching basketball for 40 years, man. Probably younger than that. I remember watching ball and seeing the basketball when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, but I don't remember all that shit. Like, I'm not gonna remember all that shit like that, but I definitely remember watching ball from about 84 and up. I don't remember it all, but I remember there was some magical games. Like, you know, we watched Magic versus Bird. We watched the Knicks with Bernard King. My uncle used to take me to games. I watched all sports, man. I played all sports when I was a kid. You know, And I remember all this stuff for decades, man. Like, so we're looking at all the errors. We're not just looking at this error, and these guys don't understand that. Like, and I had explained this to a kid a few years ago. Like, fam, I've been watching basketball for 40 years, fam. Like, how you know what I'm saying? Like, how you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, like, yo, look, I watched this era, I watched the era before that, and the era before that. So I'm looking at the game, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not no ball player, none of that, but I understand basketball. I got eyes, 4 eyes, but I got eyes like everybody else. I can see the game. I went to games before. Like, I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand and comprehend what's going on the court. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've read the stories and things like that about players off the court or whatever. You know, it's just none of my business, but, you know, whatever's printed and posted, you know, we see it for 40 years, since the 80s, man. So, what I'm trying to say is, like, we can comprehend the game uh, uh, just as much as anybody on TV that's watching it. The only difference with these guys is when you look at reporters and all that, they got access to inside information. But see, they get pissed off at people like us because we take their information, we take the words of athletes, and we pretty much, you know what I'm saying, do our research off of, most of us, off of articles and what the athletes are actually saying out their mouths. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and plus what we watch during the game. So we don't have access to inside information, but, you know, they're not dumb. They want to make everybody have one message, and they don't want nobody to disagree with them. You know, and they think what they're saying is absolutely the best. Like, when they make these bold statements and be pushed back on it, they act like we don't know what we're talking about. Fam, we're watching the game like you. I'm saying, like, all you have is access to inside information. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all you have, man. Yeah, you can sit up on television and all that, and that's why nobody watches and listens to you guys, because they know it's all narratives, man. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all not really, you know, being honest about the game. Y'all just throwing shit out there, and now what they're doing is they're using the social media by throwing these things out there to get people to constantly talk about it, because they know that this is always one thing with sports. Is always going to be talked about on the streets no matter what. So they're always going to win that battle. That's not a battle that, because, you know, the narratives, we're not going to, ever since I was a kid, I always debated sports. I'm not going to just let you say anything and let that ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be some pushback, man. You know, so that being said, like, I look at athletes, can I plug in? If I put Jordan in this era, what would he do? If I put Kobe in this new era, what would he do? If I put Magic Johnson in this era, what would he do? Bird, Chris Mullin, Wilt Chamberlain. And that's nothing. I had to revisit some Wilt Chamberlain videos of footage. And I revisited a lot of these guys' footage, man. Like, there's a lot of, like these guys act like these dudes had cement legs, and they just weren't athletes. Like, Wilt Chamberlain, I was just playing to my man last night at work. Wilt Chamberlain was a great athlete, man. The man was a track and field star. You know, the man was well over 7 feet, athletic, jump my, I had to show him how he blocked Kareem shot, hook shot. Like, no one else can do that but him. And he was like, damn, I ain't never seen nobody do that. And this is what I'm saying. Like, people they're not historians of the game, man. And they tend to have this recency bias, or they forget, or they listen to the popular narrative. Like, and I was like that too. Like, I thought that Wilt Chamberlain was the tallest guy out there because that's the way it was pushed. And then you start to look, and I had to, you know, who were the centers? And I watched the video before, and it spoke about, you know, it was a guy that exposed that, like, yo, there were mad centers in the league that had, you know, that was 7-footers and stuff like that. It's just that Wilt was the dominant player, like, you know what I'm saying? Then you know what I'm saying, somebody knocked on, oh yeah, it was Stephen A. Smith. He said on his first take. Wilt only got 2 championships, and he couldn't get really by Bill Russell. So I'm knocking him for that. But you don't knock LeBron for losing those finals to Steph Curry 3 out of 4 years. I don't understand that. You don't knock LeBron. You got LeBron number 2. You're not knocking him from losing 6 championships. But we're gonna knock guys like Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain. Like when you look at Wilt Chamberlain, who he had that was as great as them players Boston had. Boston had about 8, 9 Hall of Famers, man. Who did Wilt Chamberlain have that could even the score, man? It was him by himself, man. Pretty much. Not saying he didn't have no players, but he didn't have the talent like Boston had, man. And then when you look at, like, Boston had a total all-around team, man. When you look at the Lakers, it was pretty much Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, once they got Wilt Chamberlain, you know, even though he was a little older, you know, and then I believe that Elgin Baylor retired that year. You know, they you know what I'm saying, they were able to get the championship, get it done, like Jerry, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if we're gonna do that, we need to knock LeBron too for losing. You know what I'm saying? He got 4 rings, but look how he got his rings. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got his rings on super teams, always having superior you know, go-to guy. You know what I'm saying? From Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and then Ray Allen and them to Anthony Davis, really should have been the MVP because he was the great defender. He was a great two-way player. And, you know, often he sat down in the fourth quarter while LeBron stat padded. I noticed that in 2020, and that's when I really started noticing how he stat padding. I'm like, hold on, the game is over. They're up 15. It's 2 minutes left, or a minute and some change left. It's possible he's still out in the game, man. You know, so you know what I mean, like his stats, you know, so he got his champ. Not saying that he didn't earn his championships, but he had some stacked teams when they were winning. Like the more respectable one was the Golden State one in 2016. That was the most respectable one, dude. Down 3-1. That was an evenly matched series, and you know, he got it done. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rest of them joints, you had the more superior teams, man. Like, that Miami Heat team, they should have won 4 straight with that talent they had on that team, but they didn't. I mean, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, they only won 2. You know what I mean? So, you know, LeBron is a great player, but we're not. I don't want to make this about LeBron, but we just talking about greatness, athletes, like, and you know, like that run Dirk Nowitzki had was a great run. He sent Kobe and them home. He sent a few dudes home that year. That, you know what I'm saying, that was a great run because he won that with pretty much mercenaries out there, man, and they got it done, man. Like, he didn't have superstars out there. He had good surrounding talent around him and great players around him, but he didn't have the superstar talent. That was a great run he had. And then you got Kobe's, you know, 2 championships without Shaq. That was another, you know what I'm saying, the team was, the way it was constructed, they had the size, and then they had, you know, the perimeter defense, and, you know, you give the ball to Kobe, and they were able to, you know, go on the post with the 2 big men they had, you know, and then you had Lamar Odom running the offense. That was a great team too, but they wasn't superior talented either like that. You know what I mean? You took Kobe off that team may not make the playoffs, man. You know what I mean? But that's how great Kobe was. So those 2 championships that he won was bigger than those 3, to me, that he won with Shaq. Even though that 3-peat is standing the test of time, Shaq and Kobe had a mob. You know what I'm saying? Like Rick Fox, Horace Grant, Robert Ory, Derek Fisher, Brian Shaw. They had who else they had out there? Ron Harper. Like, yo, they had a mall, man, on Glenn Rice. You know what I'm saying? Then they went and got Carl. You know, they didn't win with Karl Malone and Gary Payton. They always had a mall, man. Derek Fisher, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they had Isaiah Ryder at one time on the bench, man. For those of y'all don't know who Isaiah Ryder is, you go look him up, man. He was a beast, man. Coming out of UNLV. But anyway, back to this. She itching and scratching, man. Fucking itching and scratching, B. Like, fuck is wrong with you, man? But what I was gonna say, man. Rinvoke, what's that shit called? Rinvoke. Itching and scratching, man. Like, but anyway, back to this greatness story. Like, so to me, like, when you talking about greatness, man, it's about your talent and skill level, the effectiveness of your peak when you're at your best, your accomplishments, as of course, can I plug and play you in any era? Pretty much. Like, would you dominate? Would you be able to do the same thing you're doing in this era in another era? So when I look at, all right, a guy like Jokic, right? Do I think Jokic would be doing all this shit in the 90s? Absolutely not. Hey, you guys, these guys, you guys are all, you never give us any props. Shut the fuck up, man. Yo, the man is the best player in the league. Giving him his props. Great player. He's one of the most talented all-around centers in the world, but he's not the only center that can do this. Wilt Chamberlain had numbers that you can't even count, man. I was looking at how they changed the rules for Wilt Chamberlain. On making the paint bigger, free throw shooting, goaltending rules. They changed the game because of Wilt Chamberlain. They said he had the quote, they changed the rules so that I couldn't dominate, and they changed the rules so that you could dominate. That was something towards Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember him saying that, but to Jordan personally, but if he did, that's crazy. But when you look at the rules they changed, yeah, and you look at, like I said, they think that these guys had cement legs and they just stood in the post. Like, first of all, these guys back in the 70s, right, and early 80s, they didn't play with the sneakers you guys have today. They didn't have the doctors and trainers, all these guys, even if you want to say dudes were cheating in some of these sports, with modern day science and modern day, supplements and things like that that can enhance performances and things like that. Guys didn't have that. Everything was more basic back in the days, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys, you gotta remember, these athletes, just to give them their props, right? Back then, most of them didn't have the training and all of the stuff that these guys have today. These guys didn't have, back then, they on the off season, they might play pickup games and stuff, but most of those guys in the off season, they had regular jobs back in the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. They weren't making the money that they make today. So you know what I mean? So these guys would go back to their factory jobs or whatever jobs they had, and then they would play ball, when the season came. They would get ready to play ball. I think they played more regular, they played preseason, and then they get ready for the regular season. You know what I'm saying? Like, but here they go fucking with John Moran again. Displayed gun because he did the gesture with the gun thing. Like, leave the kid alone, man. Like, come on, man. He hasn't learned his lesson. Like, I was dumb, but come on, man. Y'all gonna keep revisiting this shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. But y'all don't do none of this shit when Josh Giddey hit his game winner. Or Kitty, whatever his name is. I didn't see you guys bring up the underage girl, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you keep fucking with John Morant, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he did a finger gesture with the gun. Like, come on, man. Kid's a human being. He's a kid, man. Like, What crime did he commit? But anyway, man, this shit is frustrating, man. The double standards, man. These bitch ass niggas. I don't even want them getting my ratings, man. Turn this channel, man. Get out of here, man. That bullshit, man. They just gotta have something to talk about, man. But anyway, they ain't really got nothing to talk about, so they won't bring stupid shit like that up. But anyway, you know, like, if you put Jokic in the 90s, how would he fare out? You'd have to go up against David Robinson. Let's see. This is what the recency bias would do. David Robinson, he wasn't all that. He was good. He needed Tim Duncan. David Robinson was carrying San Antonio that whole decade, man. David Robinson would run the floor. He would yamming on you. He was a great defender. Block shots. He could take you off the dribble. He was a stretch big man who really didn't, you know what I'm saying, who could play at the top of the key and play off the ball. He can go on the post. He has no answer for David Robinson. Patrick Ewing. We forget about Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing came out in '86, in the '86 draft. Patrick Ewing was a monster, man. Yamming it on niggas, blocking shots, running up the court, post game, mid-range jumper. He had the turnaround jumper. He could shoot a 16, 18 footer. I watched Will Chamberlain shoot shots like that too, man. And those guys in the '70s were good with one-handed shots, man. That I noticed, like watching them play, they would, you know what I'm saying, like you put some of those guys like George Gervin, all these guys that played in that physical era in this game today, you know, I'm not saying that they would win a lot of championships or whatever. They would dominate the game just as much as they did back then. Connie Hawkins and all these guys, man. Will Chan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson. You don't think those guys would dominate in today's game? Then you go into the '90s with Larry Bird and Magic. Imagine them adjusting their games to these soft rules now, and the way the game is spread out. Especially Magic, man. Oh my God, I don't think nobody would ever stop him from getting to the finals. If he made it to the finals 8 years out of 10 in the '80s, what the hell you think is gonna stop him from getting to the finals now every year? If Bird and them was dominating the '80s, from the early '80s all the way up to about '88, the Celtics was there dominating. So they had a good 8-year run, but they was like, you know, only two teams that was stopping them was Philly and the Lakers. And all those teams stopped each other. Like from the early '80s, it was Dr. J, Magic, and Bird. So Magic and Bird came in as the rank. They were the ranks. You ain't never seen no shit like that. This is why those two men will never come off my Mount Rushmore. How you come in and we gotta beat you to get to the finals, and you just a rookie, and you just in your second year. We gotta worry about getting past you to get to the finals, man. Think about that, man. What other two players you ever seen like that, man? One started off as a rookie. They both played in college, getting to the championship. One, you know what I'm saying, beat the other. They come back and they still championship contenders right away. You don't see that, man. They'll never leave my Mount Rushmore, man, for that shit, man. Like you got to do something extraordinary for me to say, yo, look. Then you had Larry Bird win 3 MVPs in a row. Magic got multiple MVPs. Like these guys were good. Like that stupid shit Stephen A. be saying, like, oh, well, I'll take LeBron the first 3 minutes, and then I'll take Bird. I mean, he said I'll take LeBron the first 3.5 quarters, and I'll take Larry Bird the last. That shit makes no sense, fam. The whole point of being great, aside just, you know, running up and down the court and making great plays, is what happens in the clutch, man. Can I rely on you in the clutch? This is what defines and separates the great players, man. When it's crunch time, I'm giving that ball to you, right? when you looked at Kobe Bryant and Shaq, when it was crunch time, they didn't go to Shaq. Kobe got that rock, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wasn't giving it to Derek Fisher or none of them other. They was giving that shit. Shaq wasn't a free throw shooter. They gave that ball to Kobe, man. When it was crunch time, Magic got that ball, man. Or Kareem got that ball. Or maybe Worthy hit a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway, this guy would have had to go up against Patrick Ewing. Then you had niggas like Alonzo Mourning, who could score, and he can score and he could give you, you know what I'm saying, like he was a great defender, man. He would have had to go up against Seattle Supersonics and with Sean Kemp, Sam Perkins, and all them niggas, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like look at the guys he would have had to go up against. The Indiana Pacers with Rick Smith and the Dale Davis brothers, man, banging around. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would have had to go up against stuff like that. Keem Olajuwon. He would have had no answer for him, man. That's just in the 80s, man. I mean in the 90s, right? Who else? The Kenny Mutombo was a great center. He was the great defender. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to think of who else, man, that was out there, man, back then, man. In the 90s that he would have had to go up against, man, centers, man. You know what I'm saying? But he would have had some trouble, man. Karl Malone, you know, Karl Malone, you know what I'm saying, who wasn't really a center, but, you know, he was 6'10", like, you know what I'm saying, he could guard a center if he needed to, you know, but he would have had to go up against some dudes, man. Like, it wasn't, like, he wouldn't, I don't know if he would have dominated as much. He would have got some numbers because of the way he plays the game. He can, you know, he's a great shooter, has range, you know, but he's slow on his feet. And those guys ran the floor. They weren't just statues. Like I said, all those guys, right, except for Mourning, really could stretch the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he would have had to go up against Kareem in the 80s, Moses Malone, Akeem Olajuwon, and Sampson, Robert Parrish, Patrick Ewing was in the late 80s, mid to late 80s. You know, he would have had to go up against those guys, and he would have had to go up against the Pistons with John Sal, all those big bodies they would have thrown at him. You know, you know what I'm saying? So we gotta look at the level of competition that he would have had to go, even in the 2000s, man. I'm not saying he's not gonna put up his numbers. He's gonna get some numbers, but I don't think he's gonna be as much as effective as he is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. Oh yeah, also in the 90s you had Shaq. I'm sorry, you had Shaq. He'd had to go up against. He's not guarding Shaq. He'd have fouled out trying to guard Shaq, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, you gotta stop, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a lot of great centers in the league, man. You know, so it's like when you start saying, can I plug and play you in these eras, and would you be doing the same thing? I don't think he's doing all of this in the 90s or in the 80s as he's doing, you know what I'm saying, now. Even in the 2000s, you know, he might have had more success in the 2000s, you know, because more of the big man, that's when the big man started kind of like phasing out of the game. You know, Shaq was kind of like the last of the Mohegans. You had Yao Ming. You had you know, the emergence of Dwight Howard, but that was more like in the mid to he came around the mid 2000s when Shaq was starting to fade. You know, like it wasn't, you know, you didn't really have too many, you know, that's when the center position started to die down, man. You and then Kobe and them had Gasol and Bynum. So they would have threw those two bodies at him. He would have had a hard time. You had Tim Duncan and David Robb in the early 2000s. You had trying to think of who else. Oh yeah, Kevin Garnett and Perkins and them boys. He would have had to go up against them. Probably twice a year. But if he would have, I don't think he dominates the game as much. But he would have definitely, been kind of similar. In the 2010s and stuff like that, I think he dominates. Because like I said, that's when that was kind of like, you wasn't really seeing no real centers going at post no more like that. Like Jokic are going to post and things like that. Like he can play traditional center. You know what I'm saying? And he can dominate from the post. He can dominate from the top of the keys. Like he's well rounded. But what I'm saying is, against those type of guys, now you got to play defense. Because remember, you play in defense too in basketball. It ain't like football where you just play offense and they go sit down and the defense come in. Has to play defense. So now you're gonna have to guard guys like Ewing, and he ain't got no answer for none of those dudes, man. He's too slow on his feet. And like I said, you guys got to go back and watch these guys' games. Because like I said, I was doing that to Will Chamberlain until I started watching this game. And I'm like, oh, listen, Will Chamberlain had a little turnaround jumper. He had a little 16-footer. Like, he didn't just dunk the ball. Like, and then he was going up against centers. He just was more dominant. He was just a better athlete, the better player. High jumper. Like, this dude was a monster, man. Like, but they say these guys they weren't athletes. They were just plumbers and all this stuff because they worked on the off season. And some of them didn't, they didn't look as athletic because of the shoes they were wearing. Look at the shoes they were wearing, man. They didn't have the coaching staffs and the trainers and all the stuff that you guys have today. Look at guys like Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin will bust these niggas' ass, man. Like, y'all don't understand. It was so, like, for guys that say that, that's ignorance, because they don't, a lot of these guys were household names, but they weren't, famous, where their names, were highly remembered. Like, people forget about guys like Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin, like, yamming on you. Chris Mullin had the left. He had the handle. He had, it wasn't no basic ball. Like, a lot of you guys get the moves from these guys. Tim Hardaway had the crossover. I don't know, man. Like, I've been rambling around for a minute talking about this sports thing, man, and this thing. But I just feel like, if I can't plug and play you in any era and see you dominate the same side, you put LeBron in the 90s against Jordan, he's not winning no championships, fam. He's not gonna outduel Jordan. You out of your fucking mind, man. You know what I'm saying? You put him in the 80s with Magic and the Celtics and all, man. He's not getting nothing done back then, man. He might still get his numbers, but he's not winning no championships, man. He's gonna be another Dominique Wilkins, man. Who's another guy that don't get no credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about what you're saying, man. Like, you gotta look at, can these guys, if I put these guys, like, they always try to put teams like, oh, well, I'll put Golden State, but even with the 72-win team, or Golden State when they had Durant, man, and I'll put them against anybody. If I ain't put them against the Showtime Lakers. Look at the length the Lakers had, man. Byron Scott was, what, 6'6", 6'7". Cooper was, what, 6'7". Magic was 6'9", Worthy 6'7", Kareem 7'1", 7'2", something like that. They have no answer for Kareem. There's no answer for James Worthy. There's no answer for Magic Johnson. And defensively, and then you got to try to guard Byron Scott. Those guys are athletic. Now on the flip side, defensively, they may not have had an answer for Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant alone is not going to win you the game. You may not. You have Byron Scott and Cooper, right? Those are athletic, tall, length defenders, man. So they're athletic. They would have been able to at least make the game difficult for Steph Curry enough where he's not going to get off the way you think he is. Running off picks and all that stuff, man. Like, they'd have shut that down, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then he's going to have to try to guard a Byron Scott slash into the back. Like, it wouldn't have worked, man, to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just see it. Look at the matchup. Like, I don't think that's a good matchup. Now, against the Celtics, he may have a little bit more success. They were a little bit more of a basic, slower team. They ain't got no answer for McHale in that post. You gonna put Draymond Green on McHale? Get the fuck out of here. Can't guard Kevin McHale, man. Kevin McHale had too many post moves, man. And you know what I'm saying? Like who's gonna guard Larry Bird? Think about what you're saying, man. Dennis Johnson could score. Danny Ainge could stretch the floor with a three. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? Parrish, who had the little 16-footer, and he was a great defender. Like, they ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, these guys don't even have a center in Golden State. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and then you don't talk about the Bulls. Not with Michael Jordan and Rodman and them. Even with just Michael Jordan and Pippen, that first three-peat. But then you talk about the second three-peat, the 72-win team versus the Durant team. That's not even fair, man. First of all, you would have threw Ron Harper and Jordan in that backcourt, right? Going up against Clay and Steph, that's gonna get shut down right there. You throw Jordan on Curry, and you throw Ron Harper on Clay. That game's gonna get shut down right there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Then you got Pippen. You can throw on Durant to slow him down. Like you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, it's pretty much an even matchup after that. But then now, how you gonna guard Mike? Who on their team's gonna guard Jordan? And then you had Kukoc coming off the bench. 6'6", 7', 6'8", something like that. Forgot how tall Kukoc was. Might have been taller. Who gonna guard Kukoc? Pippen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Mike was about 40% of their offense, man. Like, there's no answer for Jordan, man. You know what I'm saying? Like they and look at the teams Mike was beating, man. You know what I'm saying? Like well-rounded teams, Seattle Supersonics. So he didn't play any competition. You better look at who Sean Kemp was, man. Gary Payton, the glove, and he was he could score. Sam Perkins, or stretch big man, who could step out and shoot the three. Nate McMillan. Better go look at who them dudes was, man. They always was winning 60 games, man. You had to go up against pick and roll with Stockton, Malone, and Jeff Hornacek. Let's you know what I'm saying, going up against Patrick Ewing and the Knicks. John Starks shooting threes. Patrick Ewing in that post. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Mason, who was one of the first big men we seen, besides like Derek Coleman with a dribble and Billy Owens. Putting the ball on the floor, or the Knicks forget about Derek Coleman. Put the ball on the floor, man, as a power forward. Like, just didn't last long, man. But anyway, we going back to the teams. Then you had to go, like, Mike had to go up against Reggie Miller and the Pacers, Shaq and Orlando. You seen how good that team was, man. They had 3-point shooting. They had great guard play with Penny Hardaway, and you had Shaq. No answer for Shaq. Mike still somehow beat him. Broke that team up. He went up against Magic, and even though Magic and them was broken down, they broke down in that series. He changed. He sent Magic and them packing. Clyde Drexler and them, man. Better look at those teams, man. There's another team winning 60 games and all that in the early 90s, man. You know, Clyde Drexler was they were saying he was damn near as good as Mike at one time, and then Mike had to shut that down. But look at Clyde Drexler and them boys, man. Kevin Duckworth, Cliff Robinson, Cliff Robinson was a beast, man. Athletic, he could shoot. You know what I'm saying? He could get to the rim. You had um, 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 I said Duckworth. You had Drexler. You had forgot the point guard name, man. Terry something, man. Yeah, they had them all, man. They had them all, man. And Cliff Robinson was coming off the bench, man. They had them all, man. Like in Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley, Dan Marley, Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson's one of the most athletic point guards that ever played the game, man. These are athletes, man. Like come on, man. Like look at those type of teams Jordan had to beat, man. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the Pistons he had to get by, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he went up against some great teams, man. And just because a team won a championship doesn't make them not great, man. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, we comparing these eras, man. You gotta look. You gotta like, what would these players do in each era? Who dominates what? If I put this guy here, how's he fare? If I put him in this era, like I said, we put Magic Johnson in this era with them Showtime Lakers, man. They're not gonna lose none of these teams, man. It's not fair, man. You know, so I don't know, man. When I look at Jokic, the numbers he's putting up is great. But let's look at, all right, that's great. His talent is great. His skill set is great. Skill set he has now. If you want to say he's one of the best skilled big men that you've ever seen, I'm definitely all for that. But to just say he's just top 5 or he's just one of the best centers ever, yeah, he's dominating this era. But who is there to dominate? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't knock guys like Patrick Ewing and David Robinson and them because they didn't win championships, on their own or whatever, or didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had to go up against some dudes, man, and they were pretty much one-man armies, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Patrick Ewing, he had Starks and he had some dudes on the team. He didn't really have no prolific wingman. Like you gave Patrick Ewing somebody like Kobe or somebody like even a Penny Hardaway, man. He might have had a different outcome, man. I'm saying he didn't have that a guy that really could take over the game in the fourth quarter. Like, he didn't really have that. Like, Starks was a streaky player. Aside that, they didn't really have the guy that you could say, all right, he could take over this game. You know what I mean? Like, but we can't knock these dudes, man. Like, Ewing still got to the finals twice. And then you got Allen Houston and Sprewell. It was too late in his career. Like, and the injuries was catching up to him. They had the team around him, but it never really gelled because he wasn't the same. Then the injuries, you know what I'm saying? Like, but if they would have had that team in the early '90s, they may have had some different outcomes because he had more firepower out there with Sprewell and Allen Houston. More consistent shooters. A guy like Sprewell can get his own shot, get to them. He was more of a James Worthy type player, man. Like, he gonna slash to the rim. He gonna get his own shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, give you 24, 25 a night, man. Like, but he didn't have those type of guys to go up against Mike. And you know what I mean? Like, maybe he would have had a different outcome. But he got those guys late in his career, and then injuries piled up. Then he got hurt in the playoffs, I believe. So he wasn't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't have a chance. It was a strike season, so they didn't really have a chance. But anyway, plug and play. Can I plug and play in any era? And are you going to be as efficient and dominate the same way in different eras than you are in the era that you played in? And I think we can use that as a measure of greatness, man, to start, adding to this debate of who's the GOAT and who's the greatest of all time and whatever we talking about, man. Anyway, I'm out, man. Many Face Publishing. See you guys later. Peace.